Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks, and somebody sent me this file. They asked a couple of questions. Once you weld it, you can't change the text easily. You can't change it at all. And he's just saying some issues. I don't see any issues with the cow itself. I don't know if he's going to plasma cutter this out. This would need to be cleaned up a little bit and rounded off. But we're going to work with the text today. And he evidently texted to this line, or path it to text a path to this line. So we're going to break the text apart. We're going to go up to Object and break the text apart again. So now we have a text. We're going to left click, right click, and you want to make sure it's a hairline. We're going to left click, no fill, right click, outline. And by the time you figure out which one to weld, you can have this done with the virtual segment delete key. Now your inner circle is too small because it's not hitting all the letters. And I'm proud of you for drawing in the center of the page, so I'm going to just enlarge that and hit P. Now we're engulfed. The outer circle is a little bit too big, so I'm going to bring it in just a hair, and I'm going to hit P. Then, like I said, by the time you figured out which is what, and you need to take your text and convert your text to a curve, or the virtual segment delete key will not delete it. So let's just do a couple of these letters. And just show you what I'm talking about. We're just going to go through and we're just cutting these letters. And so that way, I went too far. I'm going to have to zoom in here. And both the lines are hairlines. I've already checked, but it's just, and you might want to use a different font because you're kind of losing some of the detail of that font, but it doesn't look half bad. Take the virtual segment delete key again. That looks a little funny, but I think it's just the way the font is. No, I took away the wrong line a while ago. See, there's the problem, kind of a problem right there. You might want to use a different font. But like I said, you can't change once you've made the decision to use that font, once you've done this, you cannot change it without it just messing up. And I think a different font, like an Arial font, might actually work better than this case. But we're just going to do the top letters, and then we're going to use the Smart Fill tool to kind of fill in all the cracks. And see this, now I went too far. And there's your problem right there with the smaller font kind of getting that funny line. Just doesn't look good. Do a few more. And see, like this, especially in a plasma cutter, just isn't going to work. Now, we're not going to do the bottom form. It's the same thing. Let's just move it out of the way. Let's take a rectangle and put it around our item just in case it leaks, and take the Smart Fill tool and fill that in. I didn't evidently do the Y. Let's back up, do the Y. Take your virtual segment delete key and delete these lines. Then let's take the Smart Fill tool and fill it in, and that's what it's going to look like cut out, either on a laser engraver or a plasma cutter. Whenever you do the Smart Fill tool, you know for a fact that nothing's going to fall out. Like if you didn't weld those bottom letters to this whole circle would just fall out. That doesn't look half bad. I would still maybe change the font because you can't really distinguish that's an I versus, well, you can. It looks pretty good. And then once you have it Smart Filled, you can left click, right click, and there's your cut order or your cuts. Now, like I said, if I was going to do this on a plasma cutter, which I do not know, I would take my smoothing tool and I would smooth out some of these little pieces of grass. You don't want a sharp point, maybe even a laser cutter. you don't want those sharp points. It's still going to look like grass. And I don't see any other problems. I would always, because I don't know anything about this drawing, I would take my yellow box trick, put it to the back of the page, and then that way you know there's nothing hidden. And we really know that since we've used the Smart Fill tool. Because the Smart Fill tool is only going to do what the part we're working on. So left click, right click, and there you could cut that out on your laser or a plasma cutter, and it will work. But these parts right here, they look okay, but that's really thin for a plasma cutter, so I would maybe use a different font. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.